Was good humans, brother Timothy here, and today's video is something when I discovered it, I was quite excited with. It resonated with me. It's like, this makes sense. I couldn't wait to practice it and go and get into it. And I've been practicing for, I think it's just about a month now. I've had my third session. I'll go into it and then I'll go into my practice of it. But it's a practice called TRE. Which means tension and trauma release exercises. And it was founded by a guy called Dr. David Berceli, who was kind of on the front lines in Africa, helping people in not sure which country in Africa, but he was somewhere where there was bombs going off, and he would notice the children would shake, sort of tremble with fear, right? As is the saying, like we shake with fear. And the adults wouldn't. And the children, once the bombs would stop, they would get back to normality and be okay. And he asked the adults, do you feel like shaking? And they said, yeah, we feel like shaking, but we don't, because we don't want to look scared for the children. So as adults, we kind of resist this natural urge to shake when we're nervous or whatever. I think I did it the same. I became conscious when I was shaking. And so in times when I would feel like shaking, I would be like, no, I'm in control, I don't shake. Whereas that's the body's natural reaction to release this tension and trauma as it's happening live and in the moment. And so he also noticed in nature, antelopes would be chased by tiger, cheetah, whatever, and they'd get away. And once it get away, it would start shaking, like lows, like on its side, like shaking. And to release the trauma of the shock that's kind of, we store traumas in our muscles, in the body. The body keeps a score, as they say. And if an antelope had to live with the trauma of every time it got chased by a tiger, every day it would get tighter and tighter and, be a pretty harsh life. Well, we have things that are causing tension and trauma in us every day, every stresses that we have that do this. And so it would appear as though there's a natural mechanism that's within children and animals to release this trauma that we're unaware of, or we've stopped ourselves through other conscious things, or sit up straight and don't fiddle. Children fiddle. I've always thought, messing around, fidgeting, that's what they say, fidget, right? That's like a natural mechanism within us. It's the body doing its own like diagnostics checks. And so getting back to that, he developed some exercises that can help a human to sort of relax and get into this state where you can find these tremors that run through the body. Now, even William Reich, I think in the early 20th century, wrote some books about the body and the nervous system and having these tremors that are in it, this pulse that goes through our nervous system. And so interestingly, it ties in with all the strong fit stuff where you have your internal chain of muscles and your external chain of muscles. And so it's the internal chain that I think is linked to the sympathetic nervous system, and it's the internal chain that gets blocked when we curl up in a ball, when we're stressed, when we're scared, we go into this fetus position, which is activating all the internal muscles lock on, the pecs, the lower obliques, the internal thighs. This all happens. So this is where the stress is stored, and when we activate the tremors, this is what starts to shake these internal muscles. Man, it's totally logical to me. When I heard it all made sense. And on top of that, you don't have the traumas that may be stored in the muscles, so that doesn't mean you have to try and like access the memory of what caused the trauma to release it necessarily. You just have to release it from the body, and then you can move on with your life, because we don't hold on to this stuff. Our memory might not be able to access it. Maybe it's a protection mechanism, or maybe it's just not important for us to remember what caused the trauma for us to move on. Anyway, we'll get into the practice of this. So we'll come around here and I'll bring my bolster. I've had as I said, it started a month ago. A woman named Linda, I searched for TRE Bristol and found a woman called Linda and messaged her. And of course, coronavirus, she wasn't offering in-person classes, and I'd much rather have done it in person. You know how it is, especially with healing, like that's part of it. The other human's presence is part of the healing and their intention and well wishes on you. But anyway, couldn't do that, so did it over Zoom in the end. So I guess anywhere in the world you could find a TRE practitioner online, and they could lead a TRE provider, they call it a TRE provider, and they could lead you through it. So she led me through the exercises the first time, and after you do it a few times, your body starts to get used to what's happening or what it wants to do to find these tremors. And so it gets easier, and it has got easier for me over the last few weeks, month, to be able to get into this. So now I can get into it most times without having to do the exercises, the standing up exercises to set up the body. So I won't show them, but there are plenty of videos online on YouTube of other people showing the TRE exercises to get into it. I'll just show you what works for me in order to get into it. Hopefully show you some shakes, and then you can take what you want from my practice and for you to do. But I do want to say, I think we're all of a pretty like solid understanding. Like if you took this to someone who's not part of this community, like a random stranger or your parents, or like a CrossFitter or someone who's, you know, deeply into something, they might unlock some emotions they're not ready to face. I think we're all at this stage where we know we've got emotions stored up that we're happy to release, and we understand that. So it shouldn't come as a shock to us. That I trust that if you guys practice this, you're not just going to suddenly go, what is happening to my body? Like, you're going to understand the process of the body releasing emotions from the muscles. So I'm doing my best to get into it. I have to try and relax while presenting. But so I just set this up here. I found that if I elevate my legs a bit, it helps me to get into it. And what I want to do is push the feet together, either the soles of the feet or the inside edges of the feet, and then elevate my hips and really try and like contract my inner thighs, squeeze the thighs together, squeeze the glutes. And I'm starting to fatigue the inner thighs, and I think we've all done this, even with the baby conditioning, where you're in a position and when it starts to fatigue, you feel the shakes come on. And so that's what we want to do, is we want to start the body to fatigue. And I kind of go one leg at a time as well to add to it. Squeeze the inner thighs. Drive the hips up. So as I say, definitely look online for other exercises you can do. Often it's, you do some ankle work and then work up the knees, you do some lower back stretching, and then you do wall squats, like horse stance, where you're squatting with your back against the wall to fatigue the quads. I find this hip drive works for me. Get the inner thighs. So raise the legs. They also said when I had my third session, she recommended that I do 3 sessions with a provider, and then I can just have the practice to myself, because it's a natural thing. And so I've been doing it on my own every day, every other day as well. But she said you want to start with your feet connected, because there's something in completing the circuitry of putting your feet together. And that really resonated with me as well. You know, it's like one half of this infinity symbol of the body. So I'm drive the feet together, squeeze the hamstrings, inner thighs, glutes. Just play and explore. And then lower my back down. Breathe into the lower half of my body. And I never know if how much is, once you get used to it, you know what the shake feels like. So it's kind of half me, half the shake. It's kind of like starting a engine where you have to kind of like get it going, but then once it's going, it starts shaking by itself. Seems like we're going. So every now and then I just check that it's not me doing it. And it starts up again. And it's like, okay, cool. And you can watch videos of people online do it. You see I'm still very present with it. Still here in the body. I'm not like being taken over by some entity and like lost my mind. There's no stimulants involved. Just a natural human mechanism that's in animals. Children do it. And if you watch videos of people online, you see it's starting the legs. It can move around the body, and it finds the blocks in the body, in the fascia, in the muscles, and it just sends a pulse and a vibration to slowly work it through. Now, I've not had any like epic single releases so far, but it feels like it's slowly chipping away. Like this is years of trauma of the body protecting itself, of the muscles getting, tight. So I just feel like it's chipping away, but after each session, the days after, I feel a little bit lighter. And you see people's reviews of it. I'm just going to put my feet off of this now. So once I'm going, I'll have it off of it. Pete's not seen me do this yet. It's a fun little practice. Pete does it as well. He's not quite as many weeks in as me, but he's doing it. What was I saying, Pete?
Don't know.
No, people practice. It's funny, like you have a personal practice, and it works different parts of the body for different people wherever they need it. And so people are like, oh, the stories online of people doing it, they just say like it just takes this edge of life. I often get this like lower back one. And Linda directed me to like move my hands up, and it helps the energy to come up if it looks like it's trying to go up. So I can assure you this is completely like involuntary, but I'm allowing the body to do it. And I've definitely noticed on plant medicines, I've noticed in breathwork sessions actually, my body started to do this by itself. And then one time the breathwork coach asked me not to do this, but the body was naturally doing it all along. And then when I came to TRE, I was like, oh, I've felt that path, the body go to that path before. So now I know it's a thing and I can access it sober. It's just such a nice way. It's like better than yoga or anything to like help release. And for me, it's that idea that when you do myofascial release, like massage or it's coming up now, or like a lacrosse ball, you're kind of poking the muscle from the outside. Whereas for me that's like if you break the egg, that kills the bird inside, but if the egg breaks from the outside, it kills life. But if what's inside the egg breaks the egg and it comes out, then life happens. And that's what feels like this is the muscle, pulsing from the inside, which is why I think things like cramp and shakes are good, because it's the muscle internally activated, not you like trying to force it with this ego like mind of like, come on, do as I say in this moment right now. And that's one thing with this practice is it takes patience. It took a few weeks. My first 2 sessions with Linda, I didn't get any shakes at all. And then just the home practice has managed to get to it. And this happens when my legs come up. And she said often runners, the legs come up like this. There's something, I don't know if it's the hips here, from running. So every now and then I just check I'm not doing it and it slows. But then it kicks off itself. Like it's not me doing it. I still have to check, but it's not me doing it. Like consciously, it's the body finding the way. And then breathe. Cool. Thank you guys. If you do get into this, honestly, do your research, look at David Berceli's work. Maybe find a provider to take you through it. I don't think you need it if you trust yourself and you know your body enough. I think it's a wonderful practice, and I'm excited to keep doing it. At the moment I do it every day. They said do it every other day because it works deep into your nervous system. You might just feel pulses for the first few weeks, like Pete more just feels the pulse. Sometimes I'll get that when I just lie and I can just feel a pulse going through, like an inner awareness of this like deep, and they say that Linda was saying that deep pulse is more important than the big movements, because that's your nervous system working like at a deep level. And the big movements helps to release the fascia, but you need the subtle work, otherwise the big movements won't last. And when you finish your session, you really want to lie down and take 10 minutes if you can, feet straight, and it will stop the body. If you ever feel anxious, you can stop, put your feet down. Still wants to go a little bit, but it will just slowly fade now, and I can feel the pulsing on the inner thighs. Yeah. So you take 10 minutes to let that settle, and if you go into like a meditation or before bed after that, your whole nervous system is just like It's like exercise for your meditation muscle or something. Thanks for watching. I really hope this helps, and I'll let you know how I get on with my practice as I go on and integrate this into my life. Let me know if you guys try it. God bless you all.